Imperial Yeast has been up to some interesting things lately, and they recently announced a product we are super excited about. If you're familiar with Imperial Yeast, you're likely aware of their classification system. A is for ale as an A07 flagship, L is for lager as an L17 harvest, and so on. Well, they recently released the first strain in their I series, which stands for Imperialis and refers to non-GMO hybrids or derivative yeast strains developed by Imperial Yeast that have been honed to exhibit the traits today's brewers most desire. The initial offering, I-22 Capri, is a hybrid of A38 Juice and A43 Loki, two of Imperial's most popular strains for hop-forward IPA. Whether you're into this style or just enjoy juicier fermentation characteristics, you have got to try I-22 Capri. Learn more about the Imperialis project and I-22 Capri at imperialyeast.com. Hey everybody, you're listening to the Brewlosophy Podcast. I'm your host, Marshall Schott, and today I'm joined by two of my favorite dudes, Tim Meisch and Justin Pretzer, to review the third installment of the Brew Club's quarterly average brew beers. I'm particularly excited about this one because the style is ordinary bitter, which I absolutely love. It's been nearly 4 months since the last time we did this, which is crazy. How are you guys feeling about reviewing a bunch of classic British ale known as ordinary bitter?
Getting excited.
I'm ready to do it.
Awesome. So am I. And I know you guys aren't too keen on what ordinary bitter is precisely, but I'll walk you through that here in a bit. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, or you just want a cool group of like-minded folks to hang out with, you can learn more about the Brew Club by visiting thebrewclub.com at thebruclub.com, which will redirect you to their active Facebook group. They've got all kinds of cool stuff going on over there, including the Average Brew Project. Membership is currently free, so go join now. You've nothing to lose. And if you're listening to this show, you're probably really going to enjoy being a part of that club. All right, if you like what we're up to and you want us to keep doing it, consider becoming a patron of Brewlosophy by committing to a small monthly pledge over at patreon.com/Brewlosophy. You'll receive rewards like access to unpublished contributor recipes, unique discounts at YakimaValleyHops.com, and an invitation to a monthly live Q&A session with somebody in the brewing world. Our guest for December of 2022 is one of the most badass homebrewers out there, CH from Homebrew for Life, which you can find on both YouTube and Instagram. Just search for Homebrew, the number 4, and then Life. CH takes a really fun approach to producing brewing content. I personally love it, as I'm sure those who are familiar with his channel do as well. I've little doubt this is going to be a really fun session. To be a part of it, you have to make your pledge over at patreon.com/Brewlosophy. By Friday, December 16th, 2022, as CH is going to be taking questions that Saturday, the 17th. All past sessions with folks like Scott Janish, Sarah Flora, and John Kimmich are stored on both our private Facebook page as well as our Patreon feed, so patrons can go back and watch them whenever they like. Again, that's patreon.com/Brewlosophy. Another really easy way to support us is by using the links found at brewlosophy.com/support. When you're shopping online, your experience won't change at all, and we get a little kickback for the referral. And finally, if you wouldn't mind letting us know what you think about this show by leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcast or wherever it is you listen to podcasts, we'd really appreciate it. Feedback is brought to you by Clawhammer Supply, who in addition to having a remarkable YouTube channel chock full of great brewing related content, sell what we believe to be some of the best electric brewing systems on the market. If you've been considering making the move from propane to electric, you owe it to yourself to check out Clawhammer Supply. Whether you're after a 120 volt 5-gallon unit or something bigger like their powerful 240 volt 10-gallon system, Clawhammer has got you covered. Learn more about everything they have to offer over at clawhammersupply.com, and don't forget to check out their YouTube channel as well. Listener Jake Sakoti, after listening to our recent experience episode on seasonal beers, wrote in to tell us about a, quote, style of beer he associates with springtime that we did not hit on in that episode. Jake says, a springtime season beer that's very popular in Maine are spruce tip beers. Spruce tips get harvested around May, and once a year, our stores here get flooded with many local spruce tip offerings. I'd say my favorite is a spruce tip version of Bissell Brothers' flagship IPA called The Substance, which really increases the dank quality the beer already has. I also love a simpler pale ale, or a simpler ale that lets the spruce shine, known as the Green Warden from Banded Brewing. It's similar to wet hop season, where once they're gone, you have to wait another year, which makes them very fun, even if you don't absolutely love the style. Have either of you had a beer that you know was made with spruce tips?
I cannot say that I have, but every time you say spruce tip, we have to take a drink.
Dang, we already had a drink of beer there.
No kidding.
I've had plenty of juniper tip.
Well, and that's the thing. In my head, spruce tip, it would taste like pine sol
super foresty.
Exactly. The thing is, I have a friend of mine went up to Alaska during spruce tip brewing season. They do the same thing up there. And the brewer at, I believe it was Alaskan Brewing Company, a big brewery, offered to let him eat a spruce tip, which sounds awful. No, eat it.
No, he said spruce.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, take a sip.
Let me get after it.
And he said it tasted like candy, that it was sweet. It wasn't really piney. It had this, and so maybe brewing with spruce tips is a really good idea. Over here on the West Coast, I don't think we do it very much. I've never seen a spruce tip beer in one of our local breweries around here.
Do we have a lot of spruce trees?
I don't know. I thought we did, but yeah.
Who knows?
Well, we're going to have to,
Somebody.
that might be a quarterly thing. We'll have to talk about it on Patreon, which your Patreon's like what? Like basically like OnlyFans for home brewing?
Basically OnlyFans for home brewing.
Okay, got it.
Exactly. The videos you do not want to see, trust me. But yeah, I appreciate the feedback, Jake. I think that is really cool that, spruce tips do get harvested right there in May, and so they can kind of be like a springtime beer in certain regions. Again, we don't really get that out here in California, but from what I hear, it sounds like it would be tasty, even though my initial thought about it sounds kind of gross. I would think it'd be kind of juniper-y, like as Tim would describe it. So thanks for the feedback, Jake. If you have show feedback, you could send it to feedback@brulosophy.com or drop us a line on social media. We will be right back with AvgBrü Ordinary Bitter Reviews. Chilling work can be a chore, especially after a long brew day, but not with the Accelerator Counterflow Chiller, which can chill a 5-gallon or 19-liter batch of wort in 5 minutes or less, leading to a strong cold break and clear wort in the fermenter. Brulosophy's Matt Del Fiacco uses the Accelerator Max and absolutely loves it. In addition to improved chilling efficiency, every Accelerator comes with a 5-year warranty that covers the entire chiller for manufacturer defects. If you're looking to up your chilling game and a CFC is right for you, head over to accelerator.com today. As every brewer knows, the best beer requires the best hops, which Yakima Valley Hops provides fresh from the source to brewers around the world, carrying everything from classics like Cascade to modern favorites like Galaxy and Mosaic, as well as other ingredients and gear. Yakima Valley Hops has it all. And don't forget to check out their new podcast, The Late Edition, where the YVH crew goes into depth on our favorite plant with industry experts. Head over to YakimaValleyHops.com now to see all they have to offer and subscribe to The Late Edition wherever it is you listen to podcasts. There's no denying that stainless steel is the best material for brewing equipment, and Delta Brewing Systems offers some of the lowest prices on high-quality stainless gear, like the Firm Tank, which in addition to holding 8 gallons or 30 liters of wort, comes with a domed lid to even further reduce the chances of a messy blow-off. Plus, it can hold up to 4 psi of pressure for closed transfers. Delta Brewing Systems also has their own line of brew kettles, as well as one of the lowest-priced all-in-one electric brewing systems out there, and their prices are shockingly low. If you're in the market for legit stainless gear that won't break the bank, do yourself a favor and head over to deltabrewingsystems.com today. I think most people who enjoy beers beyond the delicious fizzy yellow stuff understand that the UK has a rich history of brewing. Unlike over here in the United States, where pale lagers have almost always reigned supreme, the British have various styles that tend to be a bit more malt focused, lower in alcohol, just different characteristically speaking than what we're used to over here, or what we used to be used to in terms of the big beers that most people drink. Which I think, you put all that together, it makes for a really easy drinking, enjoyable pint. One such style is Ordinary Bitter, which was the third style selected for the Brew Club's AvgBrü project. Are either of you familiar with Ordinary Bitter beyond what I told you before we started recording?
No, I've drinking beers like this, but I didn't know they were called Ordinary Bitters. So this is good. So
my guess is that there isn't. We've already poured the first one. It comes from John Phillips, who's out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We'll share a little bit about his beer in a minute. It is. I'll let you guys describe what you're getting, but I have to imagine that there are aspects of it that you find somewhat familiar.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely like the malty forwardness of it. Really good color, fizzy, a lot of bubbles. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, good. John is crushing it on the label design. I feel like an elitist drinking this, looking down at America.
It is a really nice label, and If I do say so, the bottle fill was perfect. The label's really nice. Looks like a really classic kind of an old English looking. I think that's old English font, in fact, that he uses on there. He calls it. Let me see if I can pronounce this properly. COMMON. Dead in the middle of COMMON, I believe, is what he calls this ordinary bitter. So that spells out.
I call
common.
this good.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
it's very good.
crushable, and it's not purple. My God, that was a rough go this last. So we're starting off strong.
We're starting off strong.
real
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I mean, you get the bitter, but it's not florally, that type of bitter. But it's
It's a
kind of
nice
like,
departure from that IPA-ish,
it's
super
almost
hoppy.
like a Miller High Life to me, a little bit.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's a really nice
Yeah.
a really nice bitter. I will say, this is a style. Let me read a little bit about what ordinary bitter is supposed to be
With
here.
a little bit more bitter though.
Yeah, and that's a thing you should detect in it is that it's not bitter, but it shouldn't overwhelm your palate. with
It's not
bitterness.
taking over.
Yeah. Here's what the BJCP has to say about ordinary bitter, just so we have a good jumping off point. Low gravity, alcohol, and carbonation make this an easy drinking session beer. The malt profile can vary in flavor and intensity, but should never override the overall bitter impression. Drinkability is a critical component of the style. I will say that just from my impression and because this is the first one that we're drinking, the carbonation on this, I have to believe, I'll read through his description here in a sec, but I have to believe this was bottle conditioned just because of the way that carbonation is presented. This is a bit higher than what you might find on cask over in the UK, but I like it. This is my preference.
This is good.
Yeah.
I prefer more malty than I do hoppy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. And the color, how would you describe the color of this? Not purple was one you already said. But
It's beautiful. It's golden.
Just golden, great head.
Yeah.
I mean, good legs on this thing. But
Yeah. Oh, thank
it's
you.
weird. Well, the beer's nice too.
yeah.
So it's weird. You say the low gravity and carbonation. This is not low carbonation, like you said.
No. Yeah.
His bottles must work out.
But John did share some info with us. He said he brewed this on August 24th. The original gravity was 1037, final gravity 1010, which is beautiful. That's 3.6% ABV. I mean, that is spot on. What I love. It's sessionable, meaning you can just chug this by the pint, not worry about not being able to walk home at night.
Oh well, that's half the fun.
Yeah. Well, but you get to drink more of it. So
Yeah.
And
It's
also
actually
means
a
less
great marketing
calories.
ploy on the behalf of the British.
Was that a marketing ploy?
Drink more beer.
I believe their strengths were regulated by taxes back in the day, and that kind of is why you see a lot of lower ABV beers coming out of the UK.
See, that's a common misconception. People thought that we left because they were taxing us on tea. Oh, hell no.
It's beer.
They were taxing
It's
us on
the
beer.
beer.
We wanted
That's right.
something strong.
What do you get on your palate? You guys talked about the aroma a little bit. You said it's not too floral. I do get kind of a floral, kind of a sweet, almost bergamot type of. Do you know what that is? Like an orangey, but real subtle on the nose is what I get.
It's
Hop
weird.
wise.
It almost starts off a little thicker, but it washes away really
Yeah,
quick.
it ends
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that about this.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's good. Mine's gone.
This is good.
Yeah. You chugged yours, Timmy. Man, and
I'd
that's
buy a six-pack
That's
myself.
2 bottles down, and we just poured them. Here's what John says. He says, "This average brew ordinary bitter is a panic stab at the style, temporarily cutting experimentation and daring for following the guidelines on the average brew recipe. A healthy scoop of Maris Otter, that is a very classic traditional. You guys have all heard that base malt out of England, and splashes each of flaked barley, Victory malt, Caramel 60, and pale chocolate malt, made palatable by East Kent Goldings at 60 and 5 minutes, and Fuggles landing in the middle at 15 minutes. He fermented it with London English style ESB yeast under pressure in a keg." John says, "I know full well this sacrifices some of the expected characteristics provided by the yeast, but living in an apartment straps you for space and fermentation chamber space. Regardless, it's gone over well, and I hope it does here too. Cheers." So I forgot to go over the parameters for this one, the average brew parameters. All brewers had to use Maris Otter malt. They had to use some portion of medium caramel malt, which is a 40 to 60 Lovibond. They had to use either biscuit or Victory malt. Those two naturally are going
tasting
to
the biscuity.
That's
now
right.
That you see, when you start to say the words, you start to like, oh, that's what I'm tasting.
Yeah. And then optional, they could use flaked barley or flaked wheat. They could also add a touch of pale chocolate or chocolate malt to add color with a little bit of character to that. Hops, they had to bitter with East Kent Goldings, which it sounds like John did. They had to use Fuggles mid-boil, so around that 30-minute mark in the boil. And then late boil, flame out, whirlpool, or hop stand, they had to use EKG. That's the East Kent Goldings. Both of those are probably the most classic English hops out there, traditional English hops. And no dry hop. Yeast was Imperial A09 Pub or Danstar Windsor, but I think they kind of left that open to whatever your homebrew shop might have that's in that vein, that English vein. Brewing parameters, they had to mash at 152 to 153 Fahrenheit, which is 67 C, for 60 minutes, boil for 60 minutes, targeting an IBU between 25 and 35, and targeting an OG of between 1031 and 1040. So on that basis, John nailed everything.
Crushed it.
Yeah, and it sounds like he actually stuck with the style.
That's what I'm a little disappointed with. John sounds like he's a rule follower, but these rules were clearly done for a reason. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, very good.
So EKG, and it could be that I was biased and presume that I knew that he probably used EKG in this, is known for having kind of like a sweet orangey undertone to it. That's what I get from it. But it tends to be more floral, whereas Fuggles tends to be more earthy, maybe a tad spicy, but a little bit more mushroomy in a good way, I think.
So I'm not picking up any of the Fuggles on that, but I'm not a seasoned veteran. I'm just a drunk. So but man, like the malty, the biscuit, I mean, this is just a beer that you could absolutely get after in a real hurry, repeatedly.
And on the palate, did you guys get anything? I get the biscuit on the palate. I get that malt character on the palate big time.
Yeah.
What do you, if you were at a brew pub, would you guys order another pint of this?
I would actually. So like I said, I like this style, and I didn't really understand the style that I liked the most. I just knew that this was I like that maltiness more. So now I know I like the bitters, because I'm a big sours guy. I know that you guys know that, and I dig those. But this is just a nice departure from a lot of the stuff that we get locally.
Well, you like this bitter, you like sours. Next, we've got to find you a Gosa, because that's salty.
Yes.
And then
Gosas are bomb.
Yeah, Gosas
are bomb.
And then there's the sweet, right? So you can cover all of your...
it's like the sweet tarts. I like sweet tart beer.
Yeah. Here you go, Timmy. This is the next one we're moving on to. Pour it
Don't
gently.
drink it all.
Yeah, don't drink it all, and pour it gently. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like there's any dregs at the bottom of that bottle, but it's another nice-looking bottle, if I do say so myself. And this one, the beer looks a touch different. I'm excited to see what you guys think. As we pour ourselves the second, let's see who this. Oh,
this is caramely looking.
Yeah, this one's this one's not so golden. It's a little bit more copper, right? So this one comes from. Oh, I hope you didn't forget your name. Let's see here. Does it say on the bottle? This person did not put their name on.
Definitely smells different.
This says the name Far From Ordinary Bitter, 4.7 and 31 IBUs. Happy Little Yeast. Or Happy Little Yeast.
Happy Little Yeast Brewery. We'll have to look into who sent this one.
I'm guessing these pictures are like yeast molecules. Is that what those are?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look into that. I ask them to always include their name on these things, and because I usually cut through the shipping labels, and so I toss that out. And I'm not seeing a name, but this one does come from Happy Little Yeast Brewery. And here is what Happy Little Yeast Brewery has to say about the beer that they brewed. I'm sorry that I did not name your name. I'll see if I can't find it sometime during the recording of the show. It says, I just joined the brew club a couple months ago, so I'm stoked to have been selected for sending in my first AvgBrü. I love British pub ale, so I stuck close to the recipe the group came up with. OG of 1041, final gravity of 1009 for an ABV of 4.2%. That's pretty legit. He used Marisauder. He tossed in some Care Munich 1 and Care Munich 2. Those are not crystal malts, but they do kind of they are crystallized malts. They do kind of fall within the range of that 40 to 60 love, roasting level color. He used Victory and a touch of pale chocolate. That's where you're getting that color from. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful crystal clear. Yeah, it's definitely darker. This is what we would call copper. That's a perfect copper color. So what are you guys' thoughts? I don't want to get in your heads first.
This is totally different than the last beer.
Smell, it smells like a bunch of beer cans opened up, left out on my bar, and I have to clean it up the next morning.
Yeah. I don't get that.
It kind of...
Yeah.
It smells funny to me.
So I get what I think I get what you're going with, and I describe that as beery. There's a beery smell to it, and I like that in my beer. I know what I think I know what you're talking about, and it maybe is like a lighter version of that, like when the beer cans have been sitting out for 2 or 3 days, or you're taking your beer can bag out.
You're kind of hungover, and you have to go clean up everyone's mess the next day.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm getting some of that citrus on the back end. That maybe I don't know if citrus is what I'm looking at, but there's a weird. And maybe weird's not the right descriptor for it, but there's just a very different back end characteristic.
It is really light. This one, it's weird because this is actually a higher ABV, but to me on the palate it feels lighter.
Yeah, this doesn't like wash over like a hearty beer would.
Yeah, it has a weird. I can't even describe it. Shocker.
You used to use the term metallic.
I was going to say metallic a little bit.
And I think
I can kind of see that a little bit. Yeah.
I always try to predict what Tim means when he says certain descriptors, and I think metallic to you is low ABV or very dry.
Irony. Irony.
Maybe I see. I don't get that, but I get the bitterness that stays on your palate once the beer is completely gone. Like the flavor just completely goes away.
Lingers.
The bitterness does, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
He used EKG at 60 minutes, an ounce of Fuggles for a 5-gallon batch at 30, and another ounce of EKG at 10 minutes. So that's smack on. He built up, from distilled water, he went heavy on 2-to-1 calcium chloride to sodium sulfate, I believe is what he meant.
That's what I'm tasting.
Yeah.
Some sulfates.
It's the sulfates. Actually, you might actually be if it's the crispness that you're getting. This has
a little bit more of like a tart punch.
Yeah.
Maybe tart's not the word, but a little bit more of a tart type punch.
Oh, you know what? He did go higher on the sulfate than he did chloride. That's interesting. That would explain maybe that sharpness and character that we're getting.
This is why I do this.
It's like the very end after you've already sipped it and you're just sitting there and
it's hanging out.
Something on my tongue that's
almost, it's like a party guest. You're like, okay, I'm not upset that you're here, but damn, the party ended an hour ago.
Yeah.
It's okay to go.
Yeah, exactly. You want to help me clean up or what?
Whoa, let's not get carried away here.
Yeah, that's where you bounce. That's where they leave.
That's where the Timmy beer can smell comes from.
That's right. Hey, go grab the vacuum, Justin. You've been here an hour late. I will say this, that I got these beers out because of the style. I got these beers out about 20 minutes before we started drinking them. And they weren't on ice. They were just sitting in my travel cooler here with the lid open. So they're not ice cold. This one I would say also has a fairly high carbonation level for the style. Yeah. It tastes like an American.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I actually quite like it.
I normally like the ice cold beer factor, but now that these are kind of warming up a little bit, these hit good. I would drink this. I don't know if I would necessarily. I would be happy if I had it. I don't know if I would order 2 of them though at a pub.
This is going to sound really like I'm like highfalutin, but I really do. I've used Cara Munich one time, and I used it in my. You've had Tiny Bottom Pale Ale so many times. Both of you guys have had it before. I have used Cara Munich once in place of Caramel 60 of C60 malt, and it completely changed the character of that beer. I wonder if the part that's about this beer from Happy Little Yeast Brewery, if the part of it that is confusing me a little bit is that Cara Munich, which is a German crystallized malt. I think it's a crystallized caramel malt, and then there's 1 and 2, so roasting levels.
And you weren't supposed to use anything German on this, right?
Yeah, but you have what you have in your brewery or whatever. I get that. But I wonder if he would have stuck with, or they, I don't know if it's a he or she, would have stuck with brewing with either like Brice C60, which is an American crystal malt, or even just like a crisp C60 malt or something, or medium crystal malt, if it might have come off as a little bit more warm and toasty.
Yeah, this is a little angry. So, but that's probably the German aspect of it. But this is it's good. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite though.
I will say so far though,
you want to blow your mind though?
Drink this. My glass is empty. Both times.
I tell you,
and so is yours.
I have not dumped anything out. And what blows your mind, though, is you drink a flavorful beer like this, and you switch back to a quick Miller Lite. You're like, man, talk about a distinctual difference there.
Let me try it.
Yeah.
I know. You ready for a little cleanser? I know. We're going to open up this third bottle. I like to ask this at the end. It also gives me time to open these bottles. If you were at a pub and you were served this beer, do you think you'd order another one, or would you want to try something else next?
His beer or this type of beer?
this specific beer from Happy Little. You're sitting at Happy Little Yeast Brewery.
I would probably try something else. I wouldn't be upset, but again, I treat life like it's
I could go either way. I
buffet.
could have another one or just try something else too.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was good.
If I'm at the Happy Little Yeast Brewery, I'm leaving drunk. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
With a smile on my face.
That's a good point, is that it's obviously a well-made beer.
Yes.
And in fact, it didn't have any off flavors. There was no, I will do my best to point out respectfully if I notice any off flavors. I will say that beer, the Happy Little Yeast Brewery beer, I had to stretch for that one, huh? Was very well made. I think the Cara Munich may have kind of confused me a little bit. But other than that, it was really nice. I had a nice toasty, malt character with a little bit of caramel in the background, which is what I expect from Ordinary Bitter. All right, this next one, we got another bottle. Probably of the three so far, the most impressive, would you say, label?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's some really nice Times Roman font there with a rubber band.
It cuts all the guessing out of it. It's right to the point.
Indiana showing up strong today.
Showing up strong. This one comes from Scott Steenberg out of Indiana. He says he brewed it. He also brewed in August, kegged it 2 weeks later, it looks like, a little less than 2 weeks later. And then he bottled it using his Blickman beer gun in October 6th. So we're sitting here. It is November 20th. So we're not too far out from the day he bottled this. OG of 1039. Final gravity was 1010 for an ABV of 3.9%. That is just beautiful. It's just outside of the BJCP specifications, but we're good. We're good with that. Yeah. Lower ABV, so he got a higher mash efficiency. He says IBU of 35. That's predicted, of course. He didn't have it measured, and then SRM of 11. That's color. Let's talk about that color a little bit.
Dude, copper.
That's nice.
I'm gonna jump right into this. Crushable.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's very good.
Absolutely crushable. This is the last one that we had. Good. I didn't taste the malty
Not as much,
characteristics
right?
as much.
Yeah.
This one.
This is a one-way ticket to Flavor Town.
What?
Yeah. Have you tried it
You
yet,
need to
Marshall?
dye your hair, bleach your hair, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm smelling it. I have not tasted it yet, but I will tell you,
Oh God.
that smell is what I would expect.
Yeah.
That aroma is what I would
This
expect.
has less carbonation, like what you're talking about earlier.
Much
Yeah.
flatter. Yeah,
It's-
this strikes me as an English style
Yes.
flat beer with some chips.
So I'm gonna just go over this real quick. 84% Maris Otter, 9% Simpsons.
good.
He went right with the outline, the parameters. 9% medium crystal, 65 love, 6% biscuit malt, and 1.2% pale chocolate. So here's my experience with pale chocolate. I use it in my Vienna lager as the only other malt addition other than Vienna malt. You guys have both had that beer plenty of times. It looks almost like this. And it has this kind of warm, nutty thing that's not too roasted. And that's what I smell in this.
You can
This
taste
is Santa Claus in a glass.
it. It is so good.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness gracious.
This is good.
That
All right,
is-
your crappy label is forgiven. This beer is good.
wow. That
Wow.
is way good.
Maybe it's so good because he only put about 4 minutes into the label and he put all of his time into making the beer. This is so good.
It's crystal clear. And if
Yeah.
you look at the foam cap, it's very nary. It maybe is 1/8 of an inch, but it sticks around and it is not too carbonated. And that helps to make it more drinkable. We've got this probably at about 48 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit right now, right around 9 to 10 C, which is just a touch warmer or cooler than cellar temp. We're in the wintertime here in Fresno. He fermented it with Imperial A09 Pub, which is like one of my top 3 favorite yeasts of all time. Maybe that's why it's better.
Well, so if you're in the UK, I haven't been. So what would this normally be served at temperature-wise?
I think cellar temp, you'd have to correct me. I think it's between like 52 and 56 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're looking at like 11 to 12 C, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's and if you get it proper, it's served off of a beer engine. So not out of which in the, traditional pubs, you've got a cellar below the pub that has lines running up, and a beer engine is a pump. And it pumps, and there's a sparkler usually attached to the I guess the end of the faucet, and it'll pour it. When it goes into your glass, the whole glass looks like foam, and then you let it sit, and it knocks that carbonation out, but you get all of that aroma off of the foam, and so it's hard to replicate from the bottle. That's why I'm pouring them pretty hard into the bottle to knock some of that. And that's the thing. It could be that all of these brewers understand that Marshall knows to pour it hard so that some of that foam gets knocked out so that you have still some carbonation left.
Okay, well, you told me to pour it soft. Maybe that was the...
I never said to pour it soft, Justin.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Man.
See? You're getting that caramel on the back end, the chocolatey, a little bit hints of that Coke. I mean, it's hanging around longer than the first two, but a good one. Oh, that
is really well done, man, Scott. That is just massively well done.
If Scott sends another one, I'm going to leave one out for Santa.
Yeah, yeah, he'd like this more than milk and cookies. And just a beautiful beer. He did fine it with Biofine, just so people out there understand. That is a clarifier. Thanks, Timmy. We're all finishing up the bottoms of the bottles here. And so that would probably help assisted with the clarification. But AO9 Pub is known for being a high flocculator, so those yeasts come together and drop out a solution pretty readily.
Yeah, it's clear.
Scott, I don't know what to tell you. This is I mean, I don't judge much anymore. This is a higher than 40-point ordinary bitter in my book. Based on BJCP guidelines out of 50, and that's pretty impressive. I really, really like this beer. Mashed it at 152. Again, 3.9% ABV. I'd be ordering
more of these.
Yeah, 1,000%.
In fact, I just did.
Yeah, he mashed at 152. We're smashing these at 12:59.
You just pulled out your clock.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't wearing a watch, so
you could easily have lied and said, "Hey, it's 12:52 right now," or whatever.
Nope.
No, it's not 12:59.
I like to focus on honesty, and it keeps with the integrity of the show.
Yeah, we are very integritous, if you will. I doubt that's a word.
More highfalutinous.
I don't want to move past this beer because it's so delicious. I'm just hoping that other ones are equally as good.
I tell you, I mean, right out of the gate, 3 beers, 3 really good beers. We are starting strong.
God, that's good. See what I'm saying about how drinkable it is? Look how fast we're chugging these things. And we've got, what are these, like 12-ounce shaker glasses that we're filling up to the top. And they're just going.
Yeah, they're good.
Well, I mean, these flavor bombs, you would think that they'd have like a higher alcohol content, which makes it nice. You're not having to sacrifice peeing on your shoes in 2 hours, at the risk of, or otherwise, you're drinking like shoes. Miller Lights, right? This is really good.
So I'm noticing something as we move along. We're moving on to the fourth beer here. They seem to be getting, and I did not plan this. These are randomly selected out of my fridge. They seem to be getting progressively darker. Would you agree?
I'll tell you in a second here.
Yeah, this one you can't. It's not as clear.
You got the dregs, I can tell, but that's not bad. Yours looks a little more hazy.
Well, Beats having the runs.
Oh yeah, that's later.
This is definitely darker. I mean, look at that thing.
Ooh, that smells good too, though. What y'all think? So, Tim,
this has a lot more head on it. Is it because I poured it wrong? Or
no, you poured it beautifully. I watched the way you did it. I did the same thing, and it should drop relatively quickly. All right, we got handwritten, old school here. This is from Haven Schultz, who is on the leadership team of the Brew Club. They get to participate as well. They're randomly selected. So I'm going to read what Haven has to say. You guys study this beer a little bit first. Don't shake that bottle.
Well, I can't study the bottle because there's no label. Haven.
Haven.
Oh, I like that name better. Haven.
Yeah. By the way, Tim, there's enough left. If you want to pour that out and get some clear stuff off the top, go for it. You might get a better impression of the beer. I'm going to read what Haven has to say. Love you, Haven, buddy, by the way. Glad I am finally able to send in a few beers for you to try. This is my version of the AvgBrü Ordinary Bitter, which was my first ever attempt at the style, which is awesome. Yeah. So this is encouraging people to step outside of what they normally brew. And the fact that we get to taste them, I feel really privileged.
Discomfort brings growth. I'm excited to be trailblazing here with the Brew Club.
He says, I'll refrain from sharing my thoughts on the beer as to not bias your interpretations of what Haven knows me. So I thank you for that, Haven. These bottles are bottle conditioned, which means they were carbonated in the bottle. As they were part of the keg conditioned versus bottle conditioned TBC experiment that he did. So we published an experiment of his on bottle conditioning versus keg conditioning, which is natural carbonation. Recipe details: as a part of the leadership team, he followed the parameters to a T, which we appreciate.
Good leadership there.
Good leadership. He's leading the way. He used AO9 Pub direct pitch from the pouch, which is arguably a bit of an overpitch if it's fresh yeast on such a low ABV beer. But we love AO9. We love Imperial yeast. He mashed at 152 for 60 minutes, boiled for 60 minutes. OG of 1038, FG of 1010 for an ABV of 3.7%. Oh, that's so good. I love that.
Right there.
Right there. It means you can drink a lot and not worry. SRM of 12.5. That's interesting because this looks a tad darker than that to me. I'd say I would have guessed, just based on what I know, this was more close to 15 or 16, but that's what calculators do. You know, they spit out a number. And then IBU of 31, which is perfect for an ordinary bitter. Let's get into this guy. What do you think?
Boy, this hits totally different than the last three.
Oh, yeah.
This washes over your palate and then immediately disappears.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
And that's what this type of beer is supposed to do, just hit and disappear?
I don't know if it's supposed to. That is a common experience that I have. I wonder, I forget what the results of his experiment were, but I wonder if natural conditioning, which was the traditional way of getting carbonation in beer, if that might have some sort of a perceptual impact compared to forced carbonating, when we put it in the keg and hit it with a tank of CO2, because I get the same thing. It just kind of goes in and then it's gone, which to me makes me want to drink more of it.
Yeah, so
you have to.
That's right, Timmy. So my first drink, truthfully, I didn't like it. I'm now halfway down, and I want to fill my bottle.
Yeah, same here.
My cup
It's tasting
back up.
better the more you drink of it.
Oh,
it's
so good.
which is weird
It stays
because
in your mouth a little longer.
Yeah.
The last one, I mean, kind of hits you up front more with the flavor, and then it lingered. This, I mean, it's a good flavor, and it goes away, and it's forcing you to fill back up your cup.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Go back to your marketing comment. What if that's a part of it? What if that's part of the plan? Right? They're gonna want to drink more.
You have to drink more. Yeah,
it is
Just like crack, man.
I got these cheeseburgers, man.
pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah, we're bouncing
British
off the walls
crack.
here. I know. Good Lord.
It's weird. It's weird. All the sponsors left.
So I've heard.
Yeah. Now we're getting like pharmaceutical companies
Yeah.
who want to sponsor the show. Hey, I'd take it. By the way, I mean this day and age.
This beer is brought to you by Narcan.
Suboxone, actually. So this beer is absolutely gorgeous. I know that you got being bottle conditioned. You didn't leave.
We
that
had to
little
show
slug
Tim
behind.
how to pour.
That's
it.
right. Yeah, he's still in training. The pours that we all have now are crystal clear.
Yeah.
And beautifully copper. Same, that a little bit darker reddish copper, maybe. Absolutely gorgeous, in my opinion. That same style of head that we had on that foam on the top was kind of the same as the last one.
Yeah, it's great. You shake it up. You get a good little
Yep.
narrow head there, and it disappears in a real hurry.
I would say again, I think it's because of oh Lord. I think it's because of the bottle conditioning, and again, maybe an attempt to allow us to control the level of carbonation. It is a little bit more carbonated than you'd expect. It is nowhere near, and it's hard to describe when people aren't tasting it. This is not as carbonated as, say, a Miller Lite, which we're drinking on the side here, or like a pale ale, American pale ale. It's lower than that, but it's got a little bit more than what you would expect if you were drinking at an English pub.
Yeah, well, so since Tim and I have taken over this role from Jersey, we still love you, buddy. Your viewership and listenership is probably through the roof. So there
It's
might be
tanked,
some.
actually. It is
there
tanked,
might be some people that don't know what bottle conditioning is.
So bottle conditioning is when you carbonate in the bottle. So rather than forcing CO2 in from a tank of CO2, you add a little bit of sugar for the yeast to eat. And when yeast consume sugar, when they metabolize sugar, they create CO2 and alcohol. But you're adding so little sugar that it's just enough. They're not really creating that much more alcohol.
It's like an appetizer.
But yeah, exactly. You're kind of reawakening them in the bottle, but that CO2 then gets captured in the bottle and it forces itself into solution because you cap the bottle. Yeah.
Well,
and
see,
you
now-
can do it in a keg as well. Yeah.
the remaining 14 listeners, now you know.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. 14. It's 16. Jerk.
16.
Yeah.
Come on, Justin.
Well, your Patreon
That's 'cause our
OnlyFans
our
is really
family's
gonna increase
listening.
membership.
Here's the crazy thing, and I hate to keep going back to New Zealand Pilsner, oxidized New Zealand Pilsner show. All of these beers so far, I would order another pint of.
Hell yes, absolutely.
Every single one of them is better than a lot of homebrewed bitters that I've had before.
Well, after
We'll
that
put it
New
way.
Zealand show, we were going to visit there on vacation. I've canceled it. We're going to the UK. I'm going to get a proper basket of fish and chips, and then about 14 of these.
I believe in New
good.
Zealand they actually call it Fosh and Chops. Fosh and Chops.
Well, we'll just leave that.
That's
alone.
some crazy talk there. All
Kangaroo
right, we're moving
chips.
on to our final one for this segment, guys. I opened the first bottle. Hey, we're back to a lighter colored. I believe it's a little bit lighter colored.
What is with the labels, Marshall? That's gone downhill. People are focusing on the beer content now, not so much the art content.
Get that bottle there, Justin. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. There's no label on this bottle, so hopefully they left their name on this one. Let's see here. This one comes from Dick Wallace out of San Antonio, Texas. He says, I tried to think of a clever name, but I'm not so clever. So he calls this one AvgBrü Beans or Bears. R's and N's look very similar to me. On Prost. Beans or Bears on Prost. It's an ordinary bitter, which I assume you know by now. It's clever, yeah. I think that's very clever, Dick. I hope they aren't oxidized. there's the throwback. Yeah, it is not oxidized by the looks of it.
It's not coming from New Zealand, so we're fine.
Boy, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
That might be the prettiest, in my opinion. You keep pouring the bottom into yours, bud.
I didn't look.
Is this your first time drinking? Come on, you're bringing down the quality of the show.
I don't know. If you wanted, you know what? It looks fine. It's not opaque, but it's not as clear as ours.
Yeah, look at this.
I'm going to start pouring yours for you, Timmy, just to be
about
nice.
time.
Yeah, I know. Do some work.
Where's the beer assistant? You know, Richard Rawlings had a beer assistant.
He's busy reading shit over there. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay, man. We're all adults here. Maris Otter, flaked barley, British 60. That's awesome. So he used British Crystal Malt Victory, and he used a touch of brown malt, which I don't know if that was in parameter or not. I don't see it on my list, but it could be. Brown malt's a very classic British malt, hopped with 2 ounces of EKG at first wort, and then he used a yeast called West Yorkshire Ale, which is I've used it a couple of times. There's a reason I've only used it a couple of times, but a lot of people absolutely love it. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think of the way it smells. We've talked about the way it looks. My version, Justin's version, crystal clear. I would say that would be a pale gold.
Yeah.
Not quite copper, really pretty. And mine is bright. Mine's perfectly bright. So. Wow.
Like the last beer, it comes on strong, disappears quick. So there's that. Wait, no, now it's kind of hanging around.
something
trickery.
Weird on it.
Wow. That is interesting.
Malty. Wow.
Not only malty, I don't get it washing
Chewy.
off my palate. Chewy, kind of chewy's a perfect, it's really mouth-filling.
Yeah, it's like I mean, there's like, it's almost like I have a dinner roll in my mouth and I'm just chewing on a sweet Hawaiian roll.
Like the Hawaiian roll.
Oh, it tastes like
yes.
That's what he should call this. It's screw bears on beans on Prost.
San Antonio sweet roll.
San Antonio sweet roll is what this should be called. Wow, that is so
This
interesting.
is a beer you could almost have with breakfast. I mean, get you some bangers and, well, that's a completely different. That's Ireland.
That's also sausage.
Well, yeah, but you have sausage and eggs.
Oh, yeah, bangers and mash. Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, the British, they have their beans and their
all
all
you
that
do
good
is
stuff.
full English breakfast.
Full English
if
breakfast.
you will. Yeah, with some blood sausage, which is, or they use, I forget what that other stuff is called.
It doesn't matter. We won the war.
Yeah, that's right, over her.
It's bitter.
It's also sweet though. It's got it, but it's a perceived sweetness. It doesn't leave a stickiness in my mouth.
No.
It's not like it just, there's something. I wonder what brand of Maris Otter he used, because I'm looking at maybe it's the West Yorkshire Ale yeast, and maybe I like it more
Maybe
than
he
I
was
thought.
just using it right.
Maybe he's just a good brewer, a better brewer.
He's just a good brewer.
I didn't want to say anything, Marshall, but there's that.
I mean, boy, San Antonio, you got some good hunting, Tex-Mex, and apparently sweet, good English
Hawaiian roll beer.
Hawaiian roll beer.
That is phenomenally good. The more I drink it, at first I was like, this is unique. This is weird.
Dude, we're 4 for 4 on this round.
Yeah, 5 for 5 at this point, actually.
5 for 5.
Yeah.
That's the beers. I'm not good at math, but I'm fast.
Yeah, you just count there's 20 bottles out there now. No, I've got 10 bottles. So this is
Seeing
phenomenal.
double.
By the way, side note on San Antonio, Will Lovell from Brewlosophy lives down in San Antonio as well. So I wonder if he
You guys
actually
need to
knows
hang out.
Dick. Well, he invited me down to go hunting wild boar because they have a wild boar. Apparently, Justin's a hunter. You don't need a license to go. He's like, just come down and hunt them.
Well, technically, you need a license.
I
But
don't
if you're on
know,
a private
man.
ranch, there's a lot of leeway in Texas. They do it right.
In Tejas,
But
yeah.
boy, they got everything down there you
Yeah.
can hunt. If you're invited, you need to go.
Well,
We're coming too.
Yeah,
Will?
yeah. Justin and Tim are coming. We'll record a show from the blind. The deer blind, yeah, pig blind, I guess you'd call it. So I want to know. Yeah, I want to. What do you guys smell and taste in this? Can you break it down? Because I'm getting something very particular, and I'm curious what.
I didn't really get anything on the smell. The taste, we talked. It's gone.
This is the fastest you've drank beers.
I know.
They're so good, right?
They are very good.
Yeah.
My
Tim's
beer's
going to
gone.
test that 3.5 theory.
Smell your glass though. You still have enough in there. Here, take some of mine actually.
Well, there's a little bit right here.
Yeah, but don't shake it up.
Slam it.
I want you to have some of the clear stuff.
Wait, that's the pour it faster. Faster?
Well, that's where it's. You're good. That's good. So when I smell this, it's wild. Think, Captain Crunch, all berries. That's what I smell. I smell that underneath like toast. There's it's like a berry thing, and I wonder if that's not the West Yorkshire ale yeast. Yeah, because it is a very ester driven. That's what it claims to do is create these very English esters, and I get that kind of berry in a very, very good way. This beer right here might be Scott's, and this one would be tied for my two favorites of the bunch at this point. Scott's and Dick's, and this one is just like, if you wanted something rich that he doesn't share what his stats are. Well, let me unwrap this paper.
Yeah, there's a richness to this that's like, man, like I don't know if I'd want to have 6 of these, but I would want to have 3 and then switch to one of the other ones. I mean, this is good.
It's crazy good, and it's so unique. And I feel like he nailed the carbonation on it. It's not too carbonated.
Yeah, not at all.
Maybe that's a part of what's making it feel richer in our mouths. It's because that carbonation thins things out, right?
All right.
Yeah, it's chewy, it's coated. I mean, this is just a damn fine beer.
Yeah. All 5 of these. Jeez, dude.
I'm telling you. We're not trying to bag on the New Zealanders. That was just a bad go round, and it's definitely not the brewers' issue, but this style is just
to have all those other
banging.
guys.
I know.
That couldn't have been, maybe one, but not all of them like that.
Yeah.
Or almost all of them anyway.
Yeah. You're talking about the oxidized.
Yeah,
pilsners,
there had to be something going on.
Yeah, those purple nurples you were serving us were not good.
Yeah, that was weird. I think it has something to do with the hops that were used, but these obviously did not succumb to that damage, and they were.
And you've had them since August, you said?
And no. I got the last box, so I hold off on recording these. Obviously, we have to find a time when we're all ready, but I hold off until I've received the very last shipment, and so they pick 10 people. I got the last shipment about 2 weeks ago, and so that's why we're.
How long? So I'm ignorant here. How long can you keep these beers in your fridge?
Before
they get kind of funky.
Because these aren't hoppy beers, the bitterness won't really fade. That's been my experience. There are a lot of people who really are big fans of like age on classic English beers, regardless. I would say maybe 6 to 8 weeks is about where I would want to make sure they're gone by then.
We're right in that sweet spot.
We're right in that sweet. I'd say we're probably 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, people were packaging their beers 6 weeks ago, and then they have to ship them, and then I get them, and then I wait. The first one I got, I think, was a month ago.
There we
first
go.
Bottle I got. So awesome,
Dude,
awesome first
so
5.
good.
We got
so good.
Was so good. I'm so happy that we're doing ordinary bitter. We've got. Go ahead, Timmy.
I just took a sip of Miller Lite, and whoo, what a difference!
What a difference!
Yeah.
Yes,
these other ones are so much more flavor in these,
and the same ABV.
Yeah,
right around the same ABV. And
It's literally like you're going from a beer to a bottle of water.
It really was.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking Miller Lite. They're
no.
Oh no, they're our fave.
A lot of Miller Lights be drunk around here.
But you can see why people who get into home brewing and craft beer really do start saying, "Why are you drinking that when you can have this?"
Yeah.
That's just the beauty of this style of beer and the ability to brew it yourself at home. And the fact 5 people sent us these beers that really,
they were amazing. Really.
They were amazing. They were better than what you get at so many breweries, in my opinion. So kudos to the 5 of you that we just tasted. We've got 5 more to get to, and we'll do that right after this break. Family-owned Atlantic Brew Supply is the largest homebrew shop in the Southeast. No gimmicks, no multinational corporate overlords, and no BS. They offer exclusive malts, yeast, and more from local artisans, as well as award-winning recipe kits. They also sell professional brewing gear and cask equipment from sister companies ABS Commercial and Cask Supply. Most ingredients are available by the ounce, plus Atlantic Brew Supply has an on-site calculator to help you craft your best brew. Orders are processed same day, and 2-day shipping is guaranteed for East Coast customers. Get 15% off your first order using promo code BREWPOD. That's BRUPOD at AtlanticBrewSupply.com. After a long brew day, the last thing I want to do is waste more time chilling wort. I've tried so many different options, and ultimately I settled on the super efficient immersion chillers made by Jaded Brewing. With the King Cobra and Hydra, I'm able to chill my entire batch of wort, from boiling to just a few degrees above groundwater temperature, in as little as 6 minutes. If an immersion chiller is right for your brewery, then do yourself a favor and check out all of the rad options Jaded Brewing has to offer at jadedbrewing.com. And be sure to let them know Brewlosophy sent you. So far, I've been really impressed with these beers. I think you guys agree. They've been
definitely.
really good. I cannot wait to drink more. But before we do that, I did a little poking around and I discovered who Happy Little Yeast Brewery is. His name is Ricky Alexander.
The man with two first names.
That's right. Rick Alex, we'll call. Ricky Alexander, I'm so glad I was able to get that figured out. And Ricky, your beer really was great. So thanks for sending that in. All
Put
right.
your name on things so we can give you credit.
You know what's funny is I'm almost certain Ricky's the one. He shot. I get so many emails that it's easy to kind of overlook them. I think Ricky emailed me and was like, I forgot to put my name.
We need to talk to the administrator of Brewlosophy here.
Yeah. Who
are.
owns this gig?
Oh,
So, Ricky, I do apologize for not calling you out in the first one, but you're getting a little extra attention now. So I'm glad, again, like I said, I'm glad we were able to figure that out. And now on to the next beer. This one comes from another ordinary bitter. This one comes from Aaron Black out of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He says, this is my fish and chips ordinary bitter.
yes.
Coming in at 3.9% ABV, I totally stole the name from whoever mentioned fish and chips towards the end of the Average Brew Reviews for New Zealand Pilsner episode. That might have been you, Mr. Foodie over there. Fosh and chops, right?
My Fosh and chops in a bit of crisps.
It seemed
Don't
very
do that again.
Yeah, that was awful. It seemed very fitting to name this beer. I brewed this using the brew in a bag method. That's what I do outside of that bag. The ordinary bitter profile. He used an ordinary bitter profile from Brewfather. That's the same beer recipe design software that we use. This was fermented in my Delta Firm tank, closed, transferred to a purged keg, force carbonated, and the bottles were filled with my beer gun. I keep my kegerator at 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Boy, I think that's right around 3 degrees, 4 degrees C. I thought
That's Celsius.
Yeah, or centigrade. I think they're the same thing. I thought it definitely tasted better when I let it sit and warm up a little bit. We have been letting these beers warm up for a little bit as well. So we're hopefully getting that same experience. I rarely drink ordinary bitter, Aaron says, and have never brewed one, so I really don't have much to compare it to. I'm curious of your review of it. I love what the Brewlosophy is doing, so keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. And I will tell you, this is a absolutely gorgeous beer.
It's a fine
Color-wise,
looking beer.
10 out of 10. This is gorgeous.
Wow, it smells good.
It's like I want to see a mosquito trapped in this and make a cane out of it.
I would say that this is probably the darkest one we've had today.
it's very dark.
But it is not.
Clear?
It's just crystal clear.
It's crystal clear, and it's not brown. It is
No.
copper. It's a dark copper though, which I do believe is perfectly
amber.
acceptable. Yeah, boy, that's pretty. He used Maris Otter, Breeze C60, so an American Crystal 60 malt, biscuit malt, torrefied wheat,
Yeah, it's
and
kinda salty.
salty, huh? That's interesting. Well, he and Breeze chocolate malt. So he did use a touch. 1.4% of the grist was chocolate malt. He bittered it with EKG, hit it with Fuggles in mid boil, and then finished with EKG. So, and again, he used Imperial Yeast A09 Pub, one of the best yeasts out there. And I will tell you that this fits perfectly within the parameters. He didn't put any of his. Oh yeah, he did. 60-minute mash, boil at 153 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect. This guy followed the rules. So, what do you guys think of Aaron's ordinary bitter in terms of?
Aaron knocked this damn beer
Yeah,
out of the
it's nice.
park.
It smells phenomenal.
I mean, the smell's good. You take a drink, flavor washes away quickly, but you got that chewy, remnants that we had on that last beer. Damn.
We are getting spoiled today.
Hell yeah, we are.
This is phenomenal.
It's a good day.
I'd almost do this for free.
Well, I'm going to have to.
I don't want to break it to you, Justin.
I did offer to buy you Jimmy John's today for lunch, Justin, and you turned me down. That was your payment. Your paycheck was Jimmy John's.
Damn it.
I know. Hey, Jimmy John's, you want to sponsor the Brewlosophy podcast? You are my favorite
Send
sandwich
us some
shop.
Sammys.
Yeah, no shit. I'd take it. So here's what I want to say. This one actually reminds me of the last one we had, Dick's Ordinary Bitter, and the only difference to me is that this one has that quality of washing off the palate a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And it's weird because there will be times where I would prefer dicks, and there will be time where I would
Wait a
prefer
minute.
Aaron.
Whoa, family show.
Yeah.
Totally different show. Totally different show.
Yeah, but there would be times where I would prefer this, and so this one has that quality of kind of cleaning off your palate while leaving a residual breadiness. What say you, Tim? You seem to be enjoying this one quite a bit as
it's
well.
very good. It's got that like biscuity or bready type taste to it. And
Yeah.
it's good.
It's amazing how
And then it stops.
Yeah, and it goes away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something that lingers, and it's like this beery thing that lingers that I don't know. Maybe that's just my palate.
Well, that's the thing is you get that little bit of like lingering chew, but there's a flavor kind of hanging out that you can't put your thumb on, but you're just like, you know what? That's good beer. That's what's hanging around.
I would. This is a really. I really feel. I mean, were your expectations sort of impacted by the New Zealand Pilsner show?
I was looking forward to hanging out drinking with you guys regardless.
Yeah.
This is upping.
This is getting fun. I know.
Hell yeah.
I know. I've got to get the other one out, but I want to hear you guys keep talking about this beer and what would you order another pint of it? Is there anything you think that it could be improved? Not brewing wise, but
I feel like Tim and I, we'd have some crisps.
Yeah, I would have another one.
Crisps or chips, by the way. We call those chips here crisps, and chips in Britain
All
are
right.
French fries.
I'm going with that.
We'll have to go with it because the oracle has spoken.
What are your
I
favorite?
tell you what, this is really good. I mean, between the color, the mouthfeel, you know what I like is we're switching between these beers. I'm trying not to sneeze, and that's my tell, mind you. If I start to sneeze,
You and Jersey both. I know.
What's been great is it's almost like you've had a beer that came on strong, left quickly, hung around. We're getting a nice, I think, very overall good picture of the different qualities that we have of these things.
Yeah.
That one is so good.
I'm enjoying it. It's very good.
Yeah. So if I were to say, for example, that I get toasted bread, would you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Totally.
I get that, like, not toasted burnt, not under toasted, like that perfectly caramelized top of the toast. Phenomenal. And the nice thing about this beer is that I'm not the biggest fan of East Kent Golding's hops. There's a characteristic. I love Fuggles. Something about EKG I'm not a huge fan of, but when you meld it with a style that has this kind of richer malt character with that lower ABV, there's something about it that really is magical. And I would have to say that Aaron, your beer was magical to me.
Aaron, nice job.
We are now pouring beer number 2 for segment 2, and this one comes from Chris Branuelas, who I've had the pleasure of speaking to a couple of times. There's a little more in this bottle.
He's got a pretty cool logo there on his label.
Let's talk about his label.
Is that a Triton? Is that King Triton's Triton?
Yeah, or a B for Branuelas, maybe.
Oh, that's
But
a
it's
good one.
Well, there's that.
But it's a Triton at the same time, and it looks like a bee,
it's
a
a
bee stinger
trident
or something. Yeah,
it's not a Triton. It's a trident.
Trident.
Yeah.
Trident. I think Triton's
So
a name.
is Chris like a Navy SEAL?
I don't
there
know,
some,
man.
like,
Let's.
their undercoverness going on?
I love that all these. This is one of the coolest things about the Brew Club is that they come up with these ideas, and now there's, I don't know how many, maybe 30 people out there who brewed this beer, and 10 of them happen to get selected that we get to taste them. But it's a random drawing. So I have to imagine that there are people out there. We've already had 2 people admit that this was the first one they ever made, and they both of those have been phenomenal.
Yeah, they nailed it.
We were
nailed
blazing
it.
trails with the Brew Club. I mean, this is like the Oregon Trail of brewing.
Yeah, the Brewlosophy Trail, if you will. So here's what Chris has to say about it. You guys get into that beer. Chris says, I hope these 2 bottles reach you in good shape. Chris, they did. This is a beautiful beer.
Color. This is
Crystal
a lot darker.
clear.
Yeah, it's sexy.
A lot darker.
I would say it's about the same as the last one. You think it's darker than the last one?
I think it's
Yeah,
darker.
with my perception, holding up against the light.
Yeah, okay.
Better.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
maybe
guys are in
that's
a
just the way
different
I'm
angle. Yeah,
sitting,
I agree. Yeah. But they did reach us in good shape. They're crystal clear, perfect little cap of foam. Again, not thick. He says this is the Brew Club Ordinary Bitter using Windsor yeast. So that's a dry yeast by Danstar. In case the bottle labels aren't legible, they are perfectly legible, Chris. Here's the info on what I brewed using the Grainfather G40. That's a phenomenal electric unit. The only tweaks I made to the profile the club recommended was to reduce the Fuggles comparatively to add a small amount of Special B. I'll explain what that is in a sec. To hopefully give it a bit
Thank
more
you.
malt complexity. Yeah. It was fermented in a temperature-controlled spike conical. Very well done. After fermentation was very near its end, I switched to a pressure relief valve and let it build its own pressure for a few days until cold crashing and fining with gelatin. So there's your clarity there. It was closed transferred to a purge keg. Very nice. The family really likes this beer and it's going fast. I think it's easy drinking and flavorful without going too far in any direction. God, this is giving me the burps over here. A lot like some of the pub beers I've enjoyed in England. I hope it stays that way in the bottle. In bottling this from my keg with a counter-pressure bottle filler, I rediscovered my dislike, he put hatred, of bottling. Amen, Chris. Anyway, thank you for your work, your creative work. It's enjoyable and appreciated. Well, thank you for sending us beers, Chris. I do have to say, this beer is absolutely gorgeous, like we talked about. Crystal clear, couldn't be clearer, and very nice color. Special B is a Belgian crystal malt, very highly kilned, so it's super dark, that tends to impart beer, and I don't want to bias you guys. Should I tell you afterwards?
Tell us afterwards.
Okay, you guys give us your review. What do
I'm
you
gonna
smell?
tell you
What do you
right now,
taste?
this is my favorite beer we've had thus far, and we've had some phenomenal beers. This almost tastes brighter.
Okay.
And what's causing that? I don't know what's causing that aside from Chris's dope brewing skills.
He's got good brewing skills. You can tell by what
It's good.
What do you get? Give words other than good to me.
Well, I don't really have very many of those.
He's a learned man.
I am getting
Tim literally knows 4 pages
I
of
am
the dictionary.
getting
That's
the
his
little metallic-y on this.
metallic-y.
A little bit. For that's just how I perceive it, I guess.
I think that's how you perceive low ABV beers.
Okay.
That's what I've come to, is because that bitterness with the washing across of your palate can come across as metallic. To me is more like if you put pennies in your mouth, that kind of, maybe that's what you're tasting.
Nah, I wouldn't go that way.
Okay.
But it's not even that bitter to me.
Yeah. See, to me, I get the bitterness, but it balances the sweetness really well.
Yeah, so the back end for me is like it's bright with a little bit of, I don't know, let's say like citrusy notes. Maybe that's not the wrong way to do it, but there's a brightness that has a perceived sweetness, almost maybe like an overcooked piece of barley or malt or something that almost turns sweet because the sugars are intensified.
So I think what you're getting is a special B, because that's what I taste as well. Think raisin, brown sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah, but with like a dark fruit, like a dark dried fruit characteristic.
Okay.
Now, I'm obviously biased. I took my first sip after reading this thing to you guys, but I definitely taste that kind of darker.
There's a richness
Yes.
of layers of flavor. It's not just a singular flavor that you're getting.
Right. So you guys have both had Belgian Double and Belgian Quad.
Mm-hmm.
I've served those to you. Special B is kind of that's like what it's made for. I'm not that's not what it's made for, but that is, people use it in that style. Those darker, higher ABV Belgian, very spicy, fruity, estery beers. The fact that he used it in this, like he called himself out, it does go against the parameters. You would never find Special B in a traditional ordinary bitter, but it does add some malt complexity to this.
So yeah, this has that kind of. I stopped by Paul's house a while back when he was brewing, and he. I'm always a fan of like trying things,
Yeah.
and so he had some of. And I'm going to butcher this. When you put the malt in and you pull it out, that you sell it to cows.
Spent grain.
Spent grain.
Yeah.
You chew on that a little bit. This is kind of reminiscent of that, where it's that sweetness.
It's malty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
good.
Yeah. It's very good. I mean, Chris, I've had Chris's beers before. I'm almost certain he sent me beer before, and he's a good.
He
Obviously,
should send you more beers.
Yeah, Chris, send us
Chris,
more
email
beer.
Marshall. He'll give you my address.
Yeah, which one? I mean, you've lived in 8 places.
I
in
like
the
to
last
move.
year.
I'm a bit of a nomad.
Good
He's a
Lord.
gypsy.
I'm a gypsy.
A nomad within a 1 mile radius.
Yes.
of wherever you've lived.
Very low, very tight turn radius here.
Yeah. Well, he's better than Jersey, who leaves the whole state.
Jerk.
Jerk. I got to see him in Vegas last week. That was nice.
I miss that guy in
Yeah,
his
so do I.
balding head. I love him.
Don't tell him that, buddy. He gets upset.
Too late.
So I want to give a little bit of info on this one from Chris. He used about 88% Maris Otter, about 6% English crystal malt, medium crystal as prescribed. Victory malt, about 5% Victory malt, just about 1% of chocolate malt, and then about 1% Special B. So that,
I'm drinking these, and I want to put on some wool hunting gear and drive around in an Aston
buddy.
Martin and just look down on people.
Look down,
yeah, but this
baby.
is good. I mean, this is some good beer.
I'm not judging you from my castle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! I mean, like I want to build a moat around my house
Yeah.
and just keep the peasants out.
Yeah.
Which
and have
house?
Chris
Which
supply
house?
you with his special
Yes.
bee bitter. Yeah.
Yes, bring
It's really
both.
good. His hopping regimen is right on East Kent Goldings, Fuggles. That's all he used. And then, I've not really had good luck with the Windsor yeast. I've used it a couple of times way long ago, and I wasn't a big fan. But you pulled it off, Chris. This is really well done. It's a dry yeast. It tends to be a little less expensive, easier to use. You don't have to worry too much about it. I mean, this. If you told me this was fermented with pub or a higher end liquid yeast, I would believe you.
I'm almost tasting some Kent Goldings in this.
It was at East Kent though, or West Kent. It's up to you.
More of like a northwest, but in a southwardly facing direction.
Yeah.
Type of.
There's
East Kent is what I'm thinking of.
He just looked at the recipe. Yeah. Northwest Kent. Yeah.
I need to know, Chris. I need you to email Marshall and tell us what the meaning of the label is. It's awfully specific.
I think
Very,
I have it. Is that
very
this one?
nautical. Yeah, that's the same one.
It's the recipe is all it. Oh, you're talking about the
No,
logo.
his trident within the spear.
He'll email me. I'm sure he'll email me what that means. I think it's a B for Brenuelas. That's my
Well,
guess.
I understand where the B is coming from, but how did you come up with the trident and the spear?
Because it's metal, dude. It just looks
Yeah, why
dope.
not?
Yeah.
There's nothing metal about a trident.
What's it make you think of Little Mermaid? That's
Oh,
what
it is.
It's Little Mermaid. That's what made
Yeah,
me think
King
of.
Triton.
Yeah, King
That's
Triton.
right.
That's what we're thinking.
Oh, you got my little Sebastian over here.
I thought
to
you
the
were making a
left
joke,
and-
bud. OG of 1044, final gravity of 1011. What do you guys think that means ABV wise?
Oh, this is easily
like
a 3.7.
4.1.
4.3, Timmy. You're the
Alright.
closest.
Oh, you're a
Come
wizard,
on.
Timmy.
With 33 IBU. Would you guys order another pint?
I think I would.
Oh, hell yes,
Being
I'd
that
order
my,
another
my
pint.
glass is empty.
Yeah. We have not
have
had
not-
an empty glass.
Your
We
beer
have-
bucket
we
is
have no
empty.
dumps.
There's it's literally just the dregs.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Usually, and I hate to
dumped
admit
a part
it,
of a Miller Lite in there because it got warm. I mean, because it didn't taste very good.
the fact that Brulosophy is dumping Miller Lite because the beer that we received is better than it.
America.
Wow, we are turning a new page,
Damn it.
fellas. All right, this next one looks equally as beautiful. By the way, to the Brew Club, thank you for picking Ordinary Bitter.
Yeah, this was a great call.
So, Tim, see how I'm pouring? If you watch, you'll start to see if any yeast starts coming out, and then you stop there. Justin, we're going to give you this bottle here.
Oh, wait a minute. We got a label here to finally look at. The label game had
is
gone
nice.
soft on us.
Chris's wasn't bad. It was
Chris's wasn't bad.
I liked Chris's because it was descriptive.
We've only had 2 labels out of what feels like 6 beers, 8 beers, 9 beers, however many we've had.
We have had labels on more than
Don't mess my beer up, Tim. I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Faster.
You know, if you're getting drunk off of
Faster.
Ordinary Bitter,
Pull. There we go.
Justin's drinking Tim out of pouring Ordinary
Oh,
Bitter
damn
from
it.
a
Professional
bottle.
beer pour over here.
Q3 average. It comes in points. It sure does.
Oh man, these are so good.
Bad
This is-
Brewing Company, which
This
is
one
a
smells good.
great play on words there. That's
Yeah.
almost a euphemism.
Well, it's a bad brewing company because his last name is Abad. I'm thinking it's Abid, but it's ABAD. Rick Abid.
Well, Rick, your
Abad.
name has changed
Abadi?
to It's a Good.
All right, here's what Rick has to say. You guys dig into the beer. He says, "Thanks for the opportunity. You are more than welcome, Rick. Thank you for sending this beer into us." He says
might
the
be.
grains were mashed at 152 degrees Fahrenheit using a full volume brew in a bag method for 1 hour. The wort was boiled for 1 hour, adding hops at the time stated. Afterwards, it was cooled to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just about 18 C. Then pitched with 1 pack of Windsor yeast. So this used that same dry yeast as the last one.
Well, hold on. Tim's beer is almost empty, and we
This
haven't
is
even
good.
gotten to the
Did you
appearance.
chug? Did you chug
Oh,
it?
Tim is
Goddamn,
crushing
Tim.
this.
This might be
All
my
right,
favorite
good.
right here.
Oh, I can't wait. Let me finish what Rick has to say. I want to hear what you guys have to what you think about the beer as well. When final gravity was reached, it was kegged, carbonated approximately to 2 volumes, so that's low. So per American standards, we're looking at about 2.5 volumes of CO2. So I can't wait to drink this one with a lower carbonation. It didn't quite clear up, so I added gelatin after a week in the keg. And to be honest, I was drinking that night and didn't realize I added cold gelatin solution. That's okay, Rick. Don't
It
ask me
happens.
how. Yeah, shit happens, right? A week later, there were still tiny, clear-looking solid gelatin balls in the Dude, I've been there, Rick. I've done the same thing, and it was for the same reason. I was drinking when I gelatinized.
Just choked on a gelatin ball.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a boba.
It's like a boba. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, we're having some Thai tea here.
I actually think that's what boba is. Tapioca, but
Yes.
yeah, same deal. They taste the same or feel the same. I frantically searched the web on how to fix this, but I guess I was either the first or maybe the first to admit it. I eventually got the idea to heat the keg back up. Wow, you are crazy, Rick. I would never have done that. To bring the gelatin back into solution, it was at 95F. Luckily, here in Florida, my garage gets to about 105 daily in the summer. We can relate out here in Fresno. After about 2 days left outside, the keezer at 90 degrees or so, it finally started to clear up. I placed the keg back in the keezer, which was set to 38 degrees Fahrenheit. That's, 38 degrees. Was that 4 degrees C, something like that. And has since been
Celsius.
clear. Celsius or centigrade.
Metrics.
I've enjoyed every pint I've poured, and I hope you will too. I will tell you, we can talk about the way it looks. It is
Whatever
crystal
he
clear.
did, yeah. I just would have strained the
Except for those
chunks
gelatin
out.
balls.
Yeah. Well, that's boba.
Yeah, dude, this
it's
is
crystal clear.
fire.
And it tastes amazing.
Oh, it smells amazing. This smells like I'm sitting in an English pub because I have been, Ireland and England, and they serve.
Marshall's will travel.
Put your pinky down.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do with my pinky.
Marshall has an Aston Martin in his driveway now, and a moat.
Yeah. What do you think you are, English or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby.
You know, I did do the 23andMe, and I come from a very weird family. You guys know this. I was convinced, like half of Americans think they're Native American. Zero in me. What I am is like 60% German,
Yes.
and then everything else is like English.
Yeah.
So,
There's just
yeah.
a lot of humping going on back in the day, and like a lot of cross border pollination. It was like, what is going on?
Back up to the wall.
Yeah. It's funny talking about like those
it's so
online
good.
sites. I met my wife on Ancestry.com. An incredible. If you're not doing it, you should try it.
You did not.
Damn it. There's going to be some editing going on there.
No, we're not going to edit that out. It's just
Dude, this
Justin.
beer is so damn
It's
good.
so damn good. It's
God.
So Rick,
I love the jovialness, by the way, and the gregariousness as we get later into the episode.
How many more isnesses are you going
Isnesses.
to feed us?
Hold on,
Justin?
let me close my thesaurus real quick and
yeah.
keep drinking.
Yeah, the thesaurus for gregarious. Oh, preposterous. I will say, I agree with you that this might be one of the best ones,
This is
if
my
not
favorite
the.
one.
It is.
There's nothing on
So
the back
far.
end
There's
from it.
but it's still flavorful. It's still
Yeah.
full on the palate. It's
got
very, very
nice
good.
roast to it.
So describe what you get by roast into the front of your mic, Timmy.
I just did. I just said roast. It's very roasty.
I don't think you're allowed to use the word in the definition.
Yes, you can.
So when I hear roast, I think coffee. Do you get? I don't get coffee.
I don't get coffee. Toast.
I think what Timmy's getting is if you took like the hops and the barley and the malt and then put them in a coffee roaster and then heated them up.
That's basically what roasted malt is.
Yeah.
It goes into.
It tastes like that. It tastes good.
It is very good. So I get nutty. I get a real nice nutty thing from it. And this color wise, I mean, for all the stuff you did to this, Rick, I would have
So
expected.
you're not supposed to go
oxidation.
hot then cold then skim
Well,
it. And all
it's
those
not that
different-
you're not supposed to. I think.
Well, clearly you can. I mean,
Well, I mean, he got away with it, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is like, so the warmer stuff gets, the faster reactions occur. That's just simple. Is it physics or chemistry? I think it's chemistry.
I think. Well, that's math.
Whatever.
it's
it might be. Yeah, that's history.
I think it's physics.
Oh, it's
Physics,
sociology.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it's
sociology.
Yeah,
That's right.
what you're
So,
thinking of.
so the warmer things get, though, the quicker reactions occur. That is chemistry, and so most beer is going to have some. It's going to have been exposed to some amount of oxygen, and so if you warm it up, the fear is that that oxidation is going to occur quicker. That's my fear, at least. Or if there's any bugs in there at all, or bacteria, that bacteria will at 96 degrees. That's going to
just
take
takes
hold.
over and ruins
It'll take
everything?
over. It could
Got it.
potentially take over and ruin it, right?
Got it.
And so I think a lot of people avoid heating it up. Not that you're changing the characteristics of whatever's in there already. I don't think that's a thing. I think the fear is trying to suppress whatever weird shit could happen, right? That did not happen here. This is probably, like I said, very easily top 3 of my favorites today so far.
Easily.
Yeah, it's good.
Marshall's like the professor of beer. His mustache is making sense now.
I mean,
the dude
he is a
he's,
philosopher.
he's a knowledge base.
I'm not going to stop you. Carry on.
No, yeah.
he's all, keep going.
His
keep
level
going.
of fitness is precocious. That's the wrong issues.
Do you know what precocious means?
It means tart.
Ahead of its time, in essence.
Oh man, these beers are so
I know, mine's
damn
gone.
good. I knew I liked these. These are I would rather have one of these than a sour.
Oh, me too. Here's what I hate about this session that we're doing right now is we have yet to have a bad one.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to pick your favorite, which we don't need
Out of
to
a
do,
bunch
but
of good
we're-
ones.
out of a bunch of really
Yeah.
good examples. I can't even think of the one that I would label the worst because they're all kind of
They're all singing a great
there
song.
are no
Yeah.
words. There are no
it's
words.
like, man, do you like Chris Stapleton or do you like George Strait? I don't know. They both friggin' rock. So.
yeah. Or Taylor Swift. By the way,
Oh,
bam.
yes.
Yeah. My wife got tickets. She got tickets with the daughters.
I know.
So we're
My
lucky
wife's
on
going with her.
Yeah, she's still complaining about Ticketmaster, which understandably
Well, they
I would as
suck.
well. Ticketmaster
I
sucks.
can't wait to see Marshall get like a Taylor Swift concert T-shirt.
No, tank top, by the way. And
Oh,
it better
it'll be
be
a tank top.
it better
You better
expose my
Get
midriff.
it long enough to tie it in a knot.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to Taylor Swift.
Yes,
Oh,
you are.
Marshall's going to Taylor
Sure you
Swift.
are.
He
No,
sure
I
he
am
is.
not.
We know he is. Tim and I
wa-
will be drinking most of these beers. We're going to Bogart from Marshall when he's not looking.
No, I am not going to Taylor Swift. My 2 daughters and my wife and a couple other people are going to Taylor Swift. Your wife is going to Taylor Swift.
Marshall's going to Taylor Swift.
I'm not. Okay, fine. You know, I'd go. I don't care. I have no pride.
They told me you were going because now I'm going and no, I'm
I
not.
can't wait to see her. I know. You know what it is we're going to be barbecuing that whole weekend.
Nice.
I know because
That's
they have
what
to
we're
go out
doing.
of town to do it. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. All of us are into smoking meats
Yes.
these days. I know. All right. So this next one comes from Alex Shanks Abel, who is another. Where'd the bottle opener go?
It's over. The church key
The church key
is over here.
He remembers.
I'm learning. Wait a minute. Hold on.
You mean the
Wait,
next
We
one?
just had something from a bad brewery, and you said it was Alex Abel. Was that somebody else that was Abel?
Huh?
A bad brewery. Oh, a bad brewery.
Rick Abad. This is Alex Shanks Abel. Yeah.
Oh,
Abel, not a
Abel,
bad nerd.
Abel. I'm not good at names, but I'm fast.
Yeah, be careful, Timmy. Don't go crazy.
Don't be jealous. Don't be bogarting things.
So Alex calls this one a bit about me. And just another disclaimer. Alex is also a part of the Brew Club leadership team, which just means that the whole thing with the leadership team is they are club members who are just helping to organize. They're not paid or anything.
Nepotism.
There's no nepotism going on. And it is all random.
So
So
totally different color on this one.
it's more like the very first one we had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex actually sent a very nice, really nice paper, by the way, Alex. Alex is out of Houston, Texas. They call this beer a bit about me. And I'm going to read what Alex wrote just so that we don't miss anything while you guys dig into this beer. So they say, I've been brewing since I turned 21. The reason I started is unceremonious. My parents thought I'd be interested in a hobby kind of related to what I was studying, neuroscience. So they got me a kit for my birthday. I had maybe 2 drinks in my life before brewing. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had 2 drinks at breakfast.
Yeah. I had 2 drinks like before I was 15, I think. Yeah. I mean, I'll admit it.
Happy 10th birthday. Here's a scotch.
Yeah, actually, my mom did do that. We'll talk about that later.
weird.
We'll
That's a
talk
whole
about
nother
that
episode.
on my therapy podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had plenty of other hobbies that kept me busy, but something about homebrewing really clicked and has remained an obsession since. I love that, Alex. That's so rad. To get a little personal and philosophical, it could be the world of flavors that beer provides. Whoa. Fans blowing the paper away. That I normally can't experience. I'm allergic to most foods. Yeah, most foods. I can't drink a banana smoothie, but I can drink a Hefeweizen. I can't bite into a mango, but I can quaff a fruity IPA, and so on. That said, dark milds and pale lagers make up the majority of my closet space. So that thought might simply be romantic and a little bullshit. I appreciate that, Alex. Regardless of the reason, I'm happy that this hobby is the one that stuck, and Brewlosophy is a huge part of why I'm still homebrewing. Mashing every beer at 165 Fahrenheit helps a lightweight me have multiple pints. That's rad. So the higher your mash temperature, the lower the ABV, the less fermentation occurs.
Oh, okay.
And it's so 165 Fahrenheit is above what most people would mash at even at the warmer parts, but you'll still get some booze because fermentation occurs.
Because Alex is a savage.
Yeah, so they say, you guys, of course... Oh, hold on one sec. I skipped some. The experiments, short and shoddy, gave me the courage to start all-grain brewing in a cheap way without much gear. No chill and brew in a bag make apartment brewing infinitely easier. You guys, of course, haven't endorsed no chill, but a neat takeaway from most of the significant experiments is that even though the two batches are perceptibly different, preference is still generally split. So thank you for making my freezer jammed with hops. I wouldn't have it any other way. Alex, we love you. And
Dude, I love the backstory.
Yeah.
Overcoming adversity, super smart.
Yeah. Also,
And just crushing beers.
I actually don't know how old you are, Alex, and you and I talk all the time. So I'm 20. He started brewing at 21, and he hasn't stopped, and he'd only tasted beer twice before that. It's impressive that you're still doing this thing, and I love that you're allergic to certain things that you like the flavor of, but you find beers that have those flavors, and you're not allergic to it.
Beer brings the world together
and saves lives, if you will. So let's get into this one. What do you guys think?
Well, the color is distinctly lighter. It's like we're going back to the first beer.
What'd you say?
It's very odd.
It's the most different one that we've had so far. But
it's fruity.
If you would have lined all these beers up, I'd be like, oh yeah, this doesn't belong in this this level of, not level, that's not the right word, this style of beer.
Oh, I wish so badly, Alex, that you would have included your stats. So this is by the way, the graphic that they made. Alex is a big part.
Nice.
They contribute.
That's sick.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's like
so that's
super
Havo and Will Lovell, who's also a contributor to Brewlosophy, and Haven Schultz, and all these guys. Alex being one of the dudes who does this. So yeah. So what do you guys think? This is the most unique one.
Yes.
And I wonder if, and Alex will tell me, if they mashed at 165 Fahrenheit, because I don't get a perceptible dryness from this. It's not that it's sweet. It's that there's something that comes across differently on my palate.
On the very back part of my tongue that feels like there's a sweetness.
Yeah.
That's there.
It's kind of squeaky, right?
Yeah.
I almost get kind of a...
I feel like I'm chewing on a piece of mozzarella. This is going to be a weird, but like when you get like that really squeaky mozzarella cheese.
Okay.
No, you don't. That's
I don't.
fine.
This doesn't taste like cheese to me.
No. It's not a cheese taste, but when you get that, like you're chewing through something that has spring to it.
So it tastes like I get a smells
Sweet.
like peanut butter to me.
No,
I was going with pear.
Yeah, I hate peanut butter, so no, I would drink this.
Justin actually does hate peanut butter.
Peanut butter is disgusting.
I don't get peanut butter at all.
So pear is a very, very common ester in English beers. So that if you get that,
Oh, Tim, coming in deep with the knowledge. You're
It was paired
You're a beer monk.
kind of mixed with banana.
like
It's a banana false to be.
or like caramelized pear or something.
It's different than the others. That's for sure.
It's not a sickly sweet, but there's a level of sweet there that is masked.
It even has a smell to me like that.
I think it smells really good.
It does.
Yeah. It's
It
one of the more
different than it tastes, and
Yeah.
it doesn't taste bad.
Well, I haven't tasted it yet,
connect
so
those dots.
I'm going to get into that in a sec.
You haven't
But
tasted it?
I've been swirling it, dude, this whole time.
Quit your swirling.
Ooh, and the malt, that
Drink it.
toasty. That's what I get the peanut butter from. So by the way, Maris Otter, some people describe the characteristic they get from that as peanut butter.
Only sickos.
Yeah.
Peanut butter.
I love peanut butter. Oh, buddy, I love peanut butter. So I definitely get pear. Like a fresh cut, ripe Bartlett pear type
that's
of thing.
what I was getting.
Yeah.
Tim, you were like beer Jesus.
Says nobody.
It's just
It's good.
It's clean on the palate,
Yeah.
easy to drink.
I like it.
I'm so curious what the ABV is because Alex said they put that they mash mostly at 165F, but
And you said that brings the ABV down.
well, what happens is so there's enzymes that's how you convert obviously the starches in malt into fermentable sugars. Well, the different enzymes, you've got beta amylase and alpha amylase those are a function of the temperature at which you mash. I've had a few drinks. Good
and
Lord.
we're here.
I know. There was bubbles in front. So the warmer you mash, the more long chain dextrins are created, and those are not as easily metabolized by yeast. So the cooler mash temps are going to drive fermentation or attenuation, right? And so you're going to get a drier beer, whereas higher mash temps are going to leave a lot more residual sugars, which we've shown in our experiments may not be perceptibly sweet, but will result definitely in there being more sugar and less alcohol, because those sugars never got metabolized by the yeast to turn it into alcohol. So I'm just wondering if Alex didn't mash this one warm, and maybe that's if 165F is very warm. Like most brewers, if they're going for a really, high mash temp, low ABV, or sweet, quote unquote, sweet beer, they're going to go like 160, 162F tops. 165 that's somebody who's trying to reduce their alcohol to not get as much alcohol, but you'll still get that beery flavor. So I can't wait to hear back from Alex to see if they actually did that, if there was an attempt to reduce the alcohol, and if that's what we're not perceiving on our palate. Because I get like a squeaky thing on my palate.
Why would you want to reduce alcohol?
Responsibility. I don't know.
So much goes into this. I feel like we should get as drunk as fast as possible.
That's my wife's thing. She's like, that's why I drink cocktails. Not that she wants to be sloshed. She doesn't want to have to ingest
all the
so much
calories.
Liquid. Yeah. Well, and so much liquid. You have to pee all the time.
I got to go right
Speaking
now.
of, there you go.
Well, you're gonna have to hold off, Timmy. We got one more beer to go here.
Right.
We better have like 8 more beers. This is a great run.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
this has been a lot of fun.
And even though they're like low ABV, it's
I'm feeling comfortable.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling.
Oh,
good.
I'm feeling
I'm
good.
relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, low ABV times 10 beers, and we're not
wasting much. Yeah, we're not wasting much.
Glasses, yeah, and we've been
Faster,
drinking Miller Lite in
Tim. Pour it
between.
faster.
All right, this one came in cans, which I think is rad. So this one comes from brewers Ken Johnson and Jeff Roberge or Roberge. I think it's Roberge, maybe. Yeah,
Roberge.
The very least, it's probably French. So they say, thanks for the opportunity to send in our ordinary bitter. The grain bill and hop schedule are as follows. They did 84% Maris Otter, 8% Victory Malt, 6% Caramel 60, 2% Chocolate Malt. They hopped at 60 minutes with Fuggles, which goes a little bit outside the parameters. They were supposed to bitter with EKG,
Smells
but
good.
whatevs. And this one came in cans, which I think is rad, but they did use just EKG and just Fuggles. This was a 15-gallon batch. He was fortunate enough to receive both the Imperial Pub yeast as well as the Windsor dry yeast. So they split the beer into 2 fermenters and fermented one with Pub and the other with Windsor. Both took off quickly, but the Windsor slowed and eventually finished at 10:15 FG, but the Pub fermented a couple more days longer and finished at 10:07. That's right. We kegged each batch into 5 gallons, 5-gallon kegs, and the third keg was a blend of the two. After conditioning and carbonating around 10 days, we tried all 3 and decided to send you the blend. So this one was the blend of both, so fermented with both Pub and Windsor. That's rad. These 2 cans have a fair number of miles on them. I live in, Canandaigua, Well, I'm sure there's a lot of snow there right now.
Where the hell is that?
It's near Rochester, New York. We'll put it that way.
I don't know,
In the
Lloyd.
Finger Lakes region of New York, but spend a fair amount of time in Fort Myers in the winter. We travel in our RV. That's Florida, yeah. We travel in our RV, which was stored at Fort Myers. We had plans to attend the NASCAR race at Talladega, Alabama, so we packed up a couple days early and headed there to get out of the storm's path. I don't know what storm that would be. This was sent a couple months ago. We are now camped out in Lower Alabama waiting for our power to return in Florida. We're fortunate that we did not receive much damage from the storm. That was
Hurricane Ian.
Hurricane Ian, yeah. My thoughts are with those that were affected by Ian, as are ours.
Absolutely.
Yep, and we know that there were a lot of people affected by that. So he says, I hope all of the extra travel adds to these samples. Adds to the samples. Oh, it's got travel flavor. You would think there would be inspiration for the name and all of that. But so far, nothing. Ken Johnson. So this was brewed. I think Ken was the head brewer, and then you got Jeff Roberge, who's like a sous chef, right? So let's get into it.
I mean, from a color standpoint, maybe a tad cloudier.
Mine was clear until you added to it.
It's because I poured it right.
If you guys want,
but the head is a lot thicker.
No, I'm fine.
This has way more head to it than the other ones do.
It really does. Look at that.
Dang.
And mine's crystal clear, boys.
No, that's my fault then. It's Talladega.
It's very good.
Dude.
Very good.
This has a vegetal back end flavor to me, almost like green beans in a good way though. Dude, it's good. I take a drink of this and I think of really good green beans.
Well, we came up with the name for it, Jolly Green Giant.
Ho ho ho.
This is good. It's vegetal though.
I don't get vegetal. When I
Earthy,
think vegetal,
earthy.
Earthy would make sense with all the Fuggles hops.
That's what vegetal means. Vegetal
Not
is from
green
the earth.
beans, though, dude.
Where do green beans grow? From the earth. They grow in silver tip spruce trees.
They grow in the frozen bags.
Yeah, from the Finger Lakes.
This beer
So good.
This beer is so good.
It smells great.
It smells like toast.
It's roast and
Whatever Tim calls roast, I get that.
toast.
Toasty,
A little caramely.
zero oxidation, absolutely zero sourness, which you should have
It is
none.
good.
A bit of almonds and like roasted almonds.
Roasted
in the back end.
almonds. Oh yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
nutty.
Almonds and green beans.
Yeah. Did you know almonds
I
are a
do
nut?
get that.
Yeah.
I do get that.
Yeah,
now.
it tastes like green beans.
It's a bit beany.
It's
Dude, this
nothing
is
like
good.
green beans, but
It is absolutely. If you take a sip, think about green beans. Saute some green beans in a pan. Take a sip. Think about it. No, drink it. Put it in your mouth. Just a tip, though. Just a silver tip. Just the silver tip part. Come on. A little more. A little more.
Justin, listen. I understand. I get your gusto.
Green beans.
There's
No.
no green
Whatever.
beans.
No.
Yeah.
What do I know?
I get what you're saying. There's an earthiness to it, and I think that confuses people. How about this? How about we swap out green beans with mushroom?
Silver tips. Okay. Silver tips. I could
There is
take a drink now.
There is no spruce tip in this beer.
I can see the mushrooms.
Listen,
okay, I can see the mushrooms. That
yeah.
there's just, it's there.
Like umami. There's an umami character. to
We be
this, yeah.
pinky popping umami.
Yeah.
Umami.
It's funny. I feel like part of me feels bad for Ken. Part of me is really happy that he was the last one, because not only does he get the honest review, but he gets you acting like a complete twerp
Drunk.
as well. Yeah,
Dude,
we're a little
this
buzzed
beer,
at this point.
this beer has character. It's been through hell. It's gone from the Finger Lakes through Hurricane
This is a
Ian.
very good beer.
And the fact that he was able to get this to us with all of that going on,
Hands down, good.
it's so good. Yeah.
Ken, nicely done.
All right. So let's see. Did I leave anything out? No, I read everything. All right. So I get you get roasty, which I think means nutty to me. You get green
I'm
bean.
leaning that way
Well,
too.
so nutty, beanie, just that umami. Beanie.
There's no beans in this. Jesus.
It's that umami. We pinky pop an umami.
It is. There's a savory character to it.
Savory.
And I feel like that is a very
Savory is like green beans.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Yeah, or like Trader Joe or Tahoe Joe's green beans with the bacon and the
Oh, dude, how good does that
so
sound
bomb.
right
I know. Jeez, Tahoe Joe's is a local steakhouse here. So I love this. Again, this
This is very good.
if I don't remember
Do
all.
you
just
get
saying.
any grassy notes? Or like,
I do. But,
okay, maybe that's what I'm confusing with, like the grassiness with like a green beanish.
So here's the deal. So if you say grassy, that there's a spectrum of grassy. Barley is a grass, right?
Must be it.
Barley is a grass.
See, you guys are making fun of me, and I'm deep.
No.
Oh.
A lot of people, an off flavor, a grassy off flavor is like fresh cut, like you just went out and cut green grass. I don't get that.
No, I don't get that.
I get like a hay,
Yes.
like a hay,
Hey.
sweet.
I was
Hey.
like, I drank that beer, and I was like, hey,
You're spilling it on you.
Hey, you're spilling right there.
shit.
How did we get like this off of ordinary bitter? What is
I don't
wrong
know,
with
but
it?
it's just all of a sudden hit.
Yeah, it's like because every day
You're gonna be
we get
slapping.
older. I know.
So these are white chairs. Why would you get like a white oatmeal colored chair for us?
What?
It went on you.
You
It
should have
went
got
on
hay
you.
colored.
Yeah, I should have gotten hay color. I should have gotten mild color
There's a
or
couple hay
ordinary
bales.
bitter. Good Lord, we
hay
have.
bales.
That's what I should do. Actually, we record out in a barn or something. Lord knows we've got plenty around here.
We need more of these beers. Go look in your refrigerator. There has to be some
you know what?
hiding.
I've got some leftover New Zealand pilsners, purple New Zealand pilsners we can drink.
That's a
after
hard pass.
this.
Hard pass.
All right,
Ken, this is a great beer.
This
Ken,
honestly,
nicely
Ken,
done.
Yeah, I hopefully you're okay with this awful review that we did as being the last one, but I love it. This makes I cannot distinguish between number 1 and number 4. So I would say like Scott's, Dick, I think it was Dick Wallace had one of my favorite ones as well. This one, and then there was one more at the start of this. Maybe it was Aaron Black's, or was it Chris? They're all so good. There wasn't a single bad beer we had today, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I tell you what, this was nice. I mean,
I wouldn't say this is my favorite, but it's
up there.
It's up there. I mean,
if you and I are at a pub,
I would say this is my favorite
I'd have
as well.
I'd have a couple of these all day long.
And
I
you know
can't
what?
name them off like you're naming them off.
Here's the amazing thing. This has not been the case in the prior two, the American Pale Ale or the New Zealand Pilsner. All of these were right there in the same wheelhouse. They all tasted exactly like an ordinary bitter.
It's weird if people follow the rules.
Even like the least favorite of mine, I couldn't tell. I liked them all.
Well,
they were all good.
So during the break, Justin and I were talking about, he said his favorite one was one beer. And I said, oh, that was my least favorite of the bunch, but it was still up.
It's still up there.
But it was his favorite.
This was a good round.
Yeah, it was awesome. And honestly, every single
I've
one of
tasted
these.
a lot of beer with this guy.
Don't judge me.
I have.
You sure have.
No, I'm not just talking yours. I mean, all around, everywhere.
I know. We have. We drink beer together all the time. All three of us do. And
I'm talking about the stuff being sent in.
Oh, yeah.
From everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And
every single one of these.
This is really good stuff.
Well, and that's the thing, Tim. But same with you, Justin. You guys have always liked English beers that I share with you. When I brew them or when people send them in, they're just a really approachable style. And I just feel like the people who brewed these beers that we're drinking today nailed it. Every single one of them
crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
And what's crazy to me is I would never have expected, and I'll admit I wouldn't have said this otherwise, but the fact that every beer was good and probably half were fermented with Danstar Windsor yeast, man, that surprises me. I did like the ones fermented with Imperial A09 Pub more. That was one thing that I noted. There seems to be a richness to those ones that I like just a touch more. But goodness, whether they were bottle conditioned, whether they were keg, force carbonated, the color variation, they were all good, and they all fell within the same. They all tasted the same. You could serve them in a full flight, and you'd be like, "Boy, I could tell I'm drinking the same style."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
So, I guess we've already said that we loved every single one of them. But if there was one that you had to pick as your favorite, do you not want to do it?
Man, I don't want to.
I can't even go back to.
I'm missing the other bottles. It was the second or third one for me.
You maybe need to line them up.
Yeah.
So we can tell.
So the most memorable for me was Dick Wallace's, because it had that kind of fruity thing kind of in the finish that I thought was so unique. And I wouldn't even know if I would say that it was necessarily to style, but there was something about the way that when I would swallow, the way it lingered on my palate, that I found incredibly enticing and very approachable. So if I had to rank one, I think it would be Dick's. What do you guys think? I know you don't see the bottles.
Yeah, I didn't see the bottles to remember.
That last one we just did?
Yeah.
Chris Benuelos was really good.
That was the second one of this segment.
And the first one from your buddy that does the hunting with the pigs in San Antonio.
Will didn't send one in, but yeah, the person from San Antonio,
from San Antonio, that was a really good one.
That was a good one too. Yeah.
That was right up there with my favorite.
And then Scott Steenberg's was amazing as well.
What's nice is to not have to pour beers out in the bucket.
Yeah, this is the least amount of waste.
That might be one bottle of beer that we didn't drink. Yeah. We literally were just pouring the dregs in there.
We drank our entire glass and finishing off the bottles.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We've never done this.
No.
We've been doing this for 5 years now. Five, 6 years almost. Beer reviews. We've never finished with I should take a picture and put it on Instagram or something. There's literally maybe a bottle and half a beer in that bucket.
And to be fair, half of that was a half a can of Miller Lite because it got warm. So...
Well, thank you guys for joining me today. That was a lot of fun.
So much fun. Thank you for having us.
I don't even know what the next beer style is.
Thanks for everyone who made this stuff. This
is
amazing.
Joke. They're just amazing brewers.
Thanks
man.
for sending it
in.
It's incredible what home brewers are doing.
To a bunch of
these
morons,
days.
except for Marshall.
Yeah. But just include
Well,
me
I mean,
in there.
again, I'm in awe. I mean, I've watched Marshall and our friend Paul. I mean,
Jersey, we miss you too.
We miss you, Jersey. To what it takes to get from ingredients to actual finished product. I wouldn't ever attempt to do that. I mean, there's so much work that goes into this, so it's fun to be a part of this.
And the fact that every single one was as good as they were.
Oh,
they were really good.
It really is impressive. And what an answer to the hell that was that last episode that we did with those.
Man.
And I feel so bad for those brewers.
Money compared to some of the stuff we go and pay for at,
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
at restaurants.
I'll tell you this.
Or
One of
pubs and
the
stuff.
issues with ordinary bitter in my experience is if you go and you want to buy a classic example, you're getting a bottle that's been sitting on a shelf for 4 months warm. Mm-hmm. And so that is not how it's supposed to present. You know, if you were over in England or whatever and you ordered a pint of it, it would never taste the way we get it, but that's what we have. And so the fact that we've got, you know, this group of brewers who are, their abilities are just, this is phenomenal. I don't think I could do one as good
Tim
as
and I
this.
got a free trip to the UK today.
I know. I'm telling you.
Winning.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could take you guys there.
Thank you, Marshall.
You owe me $800. So for the flight.
Fair.
Yeah. All right.
Fair.
Well, that is it for our third Average Brew Review episode. Again, if you'd like to be a part of this project, head over to thebrewclub.com. That's thebruclub.com to learn more about getting involved. I want to give an extra shout out to Yakima Valley Hops, who sponsor the Brew Club by hooking members up with hops for this Average Brew series, as well as Imperial Yeast for providing some of the yeast. And of course, cheers to Tim and Justin for reviewing these beers with me. Do not forget to subscribe to the Brew Lab, where host Kay Job takes you into the lab with brewing professionals to discuss the important and fascinating work they've done on our favorite beverage, and make sure to stay hip to everything we are up to over at brewlosophy.com. The Brewlosophy podcast is made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, as well as all of our rad listeners. We seriously could not do this without you. Cheers to everyone who has subscribed and left a review of our show. It makes a huge difference. If you haven't yet, please consider doing so. Head over to brewlosophy.com/support to view a list of ways you can easily help us to continue producing this podcast. If you want a reward for your support, visit patreon.com/brewlosophy. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Brewlosophy podcast. Until then, think beer.
Start off the morning with some hot tea, lemon and honey, cause it soothes my throat. Put some herb in the bowl, yeah, it's homegrown. Ain't gotta go through them.